So I was just talking to Maureen about doing a video on gender roles and what each of us do to make our marriage work. Very serious. So we're gonna start in. So Maureen, you as my wife, what do you do, and how do we help each other?
I try to make sure the house is kept up and kept tidy and clean. And if there's things that we need to get for our house, like different food supplies or cleaning agents or whatever, that kind of thing, I do that. And I make sure that when people come to it, it looks nice and it's not a mess.
Yes,
And
which
I
leads
remind
me
Ruben
to.
to put.
I was gonna talk about that. What? Go ahead.
I remind you to put things in certain places where they need to go.
Yeah, so we had this incident that caused an argument the other week, where I have this habit of kicking off my shoes at the door, and Maureen is really upset, and I'm like, what is wrong? And nothing had happened as far as I knew, and she's like, you always put your shoes in the same place, and I've just tried to clean up the house. So I was like, oh snap, I'm sorry. Okay, so now I try to remember every day to put up my shoes after I kick them off. I still kick them off, but then I pick them up. I mostly remember. Yeah, so Maureen does a great job. Funny enough, I was actually pretty big into cleaning before we got married, and that has since been lacking in my life since I got married, but that's because Maureen likes to clean, right? Yes. I clean too. Sometimes randomly I'll help her when I get a bee in my bonnet, or of course if she asks. Cooking. You've seen us both cook on the channel. I think I actually do the majority of cooking when we cook at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I do the food, and she likes to bake, as you've seen, so that works. I like that, and it's, yeah, I guess it depends what culture you're from or what the expectations are, but in my family, my dad always cooked, so I cook as well. Decision making is interesting, right? Like, how do we make decisions or this type of thing?
Yeah.
I think that's totally like a thing that we do in tandem. I am louder than Maureen, so I might express my opinion about you should be laughing. I expressed my opinion earlier in a conversation about like what we should do or not do, but it's important that I hear her point of view, and often her plan is anyways better, so I realize that like 30 seconds after I open my mouth, and then we go with her idea. But
Not always.
not always. It goes both ways. Totally.
Well, I think if we're going to do something, then we have to both agree on it, otherwise it's not very fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's usually what ends up happening.
Of course.
Otherwise it's just like, ugh, why are we doing this?
Yeah, 100%. And a good way to, as you saw in the last video, to work things out or have a good time is like do something that you have in common, like music, dance, anything that we do, traveling, meeting people. So that's the decision making bit. It can be exciting at times though, because
Yep.
Maureen is very opinionated.
And you are too.
I know. Maureen says, how does work affect our home life, and do we bring our issues and concerns to each other about our work days? She works in the medical office. I work in the elementary school, so it's a yes or no answer, I think. When it becomes obvious that either one of us is just talking about like, problems or issues at work, there's also a time and a place to realize like, hey, like this is home, leave work at work. But then there's also times when it's important to discuss matters about work with each other. So it's sort of like a balance, but I think it's really easy to overdo it and just talk about your work and then like ignore the other person. But I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's like some big problem that you're trying to like resolve in your head, or you need the support of the other person, or like something really bad happened to you the day, obviously you want to say that kind of thing.
Right.
But like, what I find is that like at the end of the day, I just want to go home and not think about all of it. Even though like it might have been a great day, or I can say, hey, it was a good day. But,
Right.
like, I'm done, then I'm not at work, I'm at my house, and then we're gonna do things together and think about
Yeah.
our friends and call them or something, or our relatives, or, you know, do a project or make some food, or there's often like meetings or like things with our church in the evenings, so
Right. And
it's just enough at the end of the
yeah.
day sometimes.
And it's really good to like focus on those things you can do together outside of your job, because I don't personally think that it's great for anyone to just be consumed by their work, because it's your work, and I love my job and I love the kids I work with, but I also think, excuse me, that there's a balance that you have to have. You have to have a life outside, to be totally blunt. It's normal. So that's that. How do we interact when like we have to solve a conversation with somebody that is maybe difficult or was a conflict? Does that happen at home, like in front of? So if I need to talk to some guy about something I'm upset about, do I bring the person physically into our house, and like Maureen has to sort of like be around it but doesn't really know what's going on, or how does that work? So I personally like to solve the differences outside and then invite the person in, so that it can be peaceful, because I do think the home is a place that peace should be at the center, and there's measures that you can take to actually make that happen, rather than inviting problems in, and then it gets confusing and the airwaves are caught up with negativity. I think or feel very strongly about that. So that's just another thing I thought of. So hopefully you enjoyed, and if you have any other questions, please ask. Have a good day.